Everybody, call to order this meeting of the Jericho Selectboard on October 2nd. In order to make our meetings more efficient, we are limiting public comment to the beginning of the meeting, the public to be heard section. Select board meetings are in the public, not of the public. There will occasionally be agenda items where we will ask for public comment. Today we'll be allowing public comment on the budget discussion. Please do not use the chat on Zoom for anything other than technical issues. With that, we will roll right in to public to be heard. I have intended.
Good time, Patrick.
You're up, Bob.
All right, it's a repeat, but I have to put it on the record here, so. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Here we go, repeat. Well, my name is Bob DeVos. I live on Milo Way Road. I'm here again to talk about water issues coming up and hopefully something the town may consider for the town budget or whatever, or potentially even put on the ballot by the select board with quite a bit of revision than what I'm trying to say here at the beginning here, but here goes. My name is Robert Bob DeVos and I live on Milo Way Road. I'm a member of the Jericho Heights Water Co-op that serves 16 homes on Ayers Drive and Milo Way Road. Note that I am a member of the Water Co-op, but I am not a member of the board. Our Jericho Heights Water Co-op faces past and new mandates from the state of Vermont that could potentially exceed what some of us homeowners now pay in property and educational taxes. And just for an example, so far this year, myself, I paid out $900 so far for water, and it's going to go way beyond that at some point. So I don't know how many different entities there are in Jericho. I don't know what the average water bill is or anything like that, but it's this could be extremely excessive depending on how far this goes. So here we go. Bear with me for a second here. In brief, along with other mandates, our aging water holding tank and other elements need inspection and worst case replacement. Because part of this water holding tank is underground, this presents several costly engineering challenges. This also means water must be held in a temporary tank to provide water to our homes while this work is in progress, if it goes to that point. There's more, but I'll digress on that for now. State assistance does not appear to be available. This is unlike the low interest state loan we received and paid back ahead of schedule when a new well had to be installed years ago. I believe the loan was for at least $50,000. So again, you divide that by 16, it may sound somewhat reasonable, but keep in mind, we all have other home expenses to deal with along with just water. So in brief, today's question, since the town of Jericho may be asking for millions to support a septic system for a small section of Jericho, and again, I believe it's in the Riverside area, and since Jericho has no water or septic infrastructure, again, this is a draft, under extreme circumstances and under strict guidelines and supervision, will the town of Jericho consider adding to the town budget a set amount of money, say for example, from the rainy day fund or increase the rainy day fund, a provision under a possible emergency neighborhood fund to help with possibly both grants and low interest loans to individual homes and water entities that may face extreme financial hardship with the water infrastructure they now have, and then to make it fully functional and under full regulatory compliance. So just really briefly, I mean, the state, we're behind on a couple of mandates. There's no doubt about that. And part of it's affordability. But the state.
You guys are like your water group is?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm up to date on my dues or for water. But in any case, just going forward, it's, we don't know, the state sets the mandates. Some of them are reasonable, some make sense to have, safe drinkable water. But at the same time, the state also sets mandates for not knowing what the costs are, not offering help and assistance in engineering. I mean, if this sphere that has to be dug up or whatever, if you will, the big holding tank, part of it again underground. I believe it was originally built in 1965. I only moved here in the year 2000, 2001. So 25 years, I'm somewhat of a newcomer or whatever, but again, with the state setting these mandates, not knowing the cost, not helping in finding assistance or whatever. And granted, they did give us a loan which we paid back or whatever, but it's easy for the state to set the mandates without knowing the cost of what it really is for the average homeowner. So that's pretty much my gist. I'm hoping, the town is entering into a new phase for infrastructure. I mean, I understand the need. I don't fully agree, but I understand the need with Riverside, new development. I get all that. And I get what many people are saying. I own 10 acres. I have my own well. This is not my problem. I have to deal with my own water issues. But if the town is now going to enter into infrastructure issues and they're dealing with maybe a very small percentage of another part of town, and now we have a problem probably about the same size of number of people with our problem, I mean, where would the town go? I mean, we're going to do this on this side of town for a new development to help the town grow, understandable, but we're not going to help any other neighbors in the process. So again, we're not asking for free money, and I can't speak for the board, but I just hope combined with the state that, low interest loans or something can help. And, at Jericho down the road with aging pipes, aging water systems, I can almost guarantee you the problem may get worse, and you may want to start to get a handle on it now. So thank you very much. I've handed these out before, but I'm glad to leave them or pass them out or discard them, whatever you want to take them to. Thank you.
Your comments, Bob?
Thank you.
If there's a time, whatever, to future discuss, I mean, I'll keep looking at front page forum for whatever, but.
I think just a couple of quick comments, Bob.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And one of the things we've been talking about that was one of the subcommittees of the wastewater task force was how do we, when we're doing this kind of a big thing, how do we also support other people who have failing septic systems but don't happen to be in Riverside area? I think that your water thing is similarly analogous. I think that, speaking for myself, I think that in order to get more of a sort of the board to go like, oh, wait, we should really be thinking about this more. I think that if you could get like the board of your group or a couple different water entities to say, hey, town, like there's 3 groups here and we represent 150 taxpayers.
Right.
Can we have a conversation about that? I think that's gonna move the needle. I personally think it makes total sense to be able to help people. If there's a way to do it in a way that's fiscally more or less neutral or negligible for us to help, for us to get access to loans that we can get you to do, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think that it's going to be an easier pitch for everybody, like, well, you're helping Bob with his water, no, my water. If it's sort of a larger group that's coming and saying, hey, we want you to deal with infrastructure, can you help us too in thinking about hours down the road?
Right. No, I totally agree. I don't want to take up too much time. I've contacted the board, but some of the board have the mentality, it's our neighborhood. I've been on this board for, not me personally, but they've been on the board for 20, 30 years. And we know how to handle it. We'll be all right. But it's gone beyond that. I mean, it's just, but again, I agree. I'll try to, hopefully, I don't know if the select board would be willing to send out letters to the water entities saying, do you want to meet and discuss this? But I'll certainly reach out. I'll certainly.
I think it would be better if you were to organize a group to come to us and say, hey, we need your attention.
No, I agree. Okay, no, that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay,
Great, thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you.
again, no Red Sox. I'm out of here. Thank you.
Big day, Bob.
Plug that in.
Didn't work last time you checked that.
Just works, thank you.
Other public to be heard? Now I see one other person online. Last chance for public to be heard.
We need L&D to identify themselves for a minute.
Yes, we do.
All right, that brings us to the CCRPC annual report presentation by Charlie.
Can the person on Zoom who's labeled LD let us know what your name is for the minute taker?
Do you want to come off mute or do you want to be in the chat?
Oh, Lori.
Oh, hi, Laurie.
Hi, Lori.
Good evening. Thank you for the time. And don't let me leave here without reminding me to follow up on that conversation.
Oh, that'd be
Great. I didn't say solve.
I know, but well, anything to follow up.
Anything at all, right?
I'm forwarding everything.
Do you want one of these?
Yeah.
I mean, because
Bob
has been asking for several years.
Yeah,
And,
there's,
but we
let me come back to that.
haven't heard from anybody else, so it's hard to, determine.
Yeah, so this is nice to see the expanded board. I think last time I was here was 3.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
this
I
happened
was
in
like,
June.
okay, all right. I was like, just making sure I hadn't missed it or 2. Well, welcome. Nice to see all you. I do, for those of you that are new here, I, every year, I'm Charlie Baker, the Executive Director of the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission, of which Jericho is a member. Catherine's been a longtime board member.
Long time.
Nobody's counting, and just a pretty recent board chair. So she just got off our executive committee recently. So this is really a customer service call as much as anything else. I try to check in with each select board each fall just to kind of see how we were doing in terms of providing services, but also it's also a way for me to hear what's going on, like things like that. A lot of the things I'm aware of because we're working with the town on these issues, but so I'm really looking for any feedback that you might have, but also just to report out. So I think you got our report in your packet. The first page of the report gives you some background on the RPC and our board, how we use your local dues. We get about, around 600,000 of local funds, town and city funds into our budget and are able to leverage another 7.6 million of federal and state funds into the county. And
600,000 total from all the
yeah,
municipalities?
from Burlington to Buell's Gore. And that's
So you really get a lot of bang for your buck, based on what I do.
yeah, and so we have the majority of our funding, and we're like 70% federally funded. Things haven't stopped yet, despite what goes on at DC.
course they have.
I'm paying attention.
It's always mentioned at every meeting.
Yeah, and so we're able, and then there's some other state funding and things, but we're able to leverage a lot of, our dues or match dollars to bring in those federal state funds. And then at the bottom, you see your reps, your representatives on our board and on our committees. And as I just mentioned, thank you to Catherine for all of her dedicated and very active service on our board. Appreciate it.
I'm the alternate.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting emails from someone.
Yeah, you should be.
Knows I'm the
Yeah,
alternate, but it's not.
that happened to you.
Yeah, so this is looking backwards. This was last fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is, sorry, every time there's a new appointee.
Yep.
Yeah, I have that issue, but thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you for volunteering. Appreciate that.
We didn't do it.
Volunteer, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
That was pre-5, so he
Yeah.
had to do it.
That'll teach you not to miss any more meetings. Is that what happened? On the second page are things that we did specifically with the town last fiscal year. The Riverside Village sidewalk, Brown's Trace Bridge, some energy work. We did the future land use map that we're required to do for the state for that new Act 250 process. So, I'm happy to answer any questions on that. Water quality work, some, GIS mapping type work and other technical assistance, but, we're not gonna read each one of these, but if, any feedback or questions on any of those things that we help the town with?
Says 3 automatic traffic counts.
Yeah.
That we asked you to come out 3 times and to do your automatic traffic counting, or that automatically happens every year?
It doesn't automatically happen.
Okay, it's an automatic process.
Yeah, and so actually, this is a good time to talk about this. Each winter, we ask all of our member towns, is there anything that we can help you with? And ask you to submit applications. Sorry, yeah, those who have been here for a while are familiar with this process. So the application comes out around Thanksgiving, usually 2 months later, near the last half of January. We ask the select board to review those because sometimes there's a match, like it might be 20% of our project, and sometimes we're able to find other resources and can just do it. And so we do want the select board to buy in because there's financial implications. And so, and then there's also not just bigger projects, but also data collection. Sometimes it's, we do a lot of inventories for, your road department. Sometimes it's signage, like inventorying signs, culverts, guardrails, and we'll come out with we basically hire a team of interns every summer and where we're able to do a lot of data collection for the town. So if there's data that, would be useful to the town, that's also kind of a second kind of ask to ask us for.
That's where the brown trace and the still column.
Mhm.
Option to talk about speed bumps later on.
Well, that's part of, that was part of the report.
That was okay.
Yeah, and definitely, traffic safety studies and things like that. We have 3 engineers on staff, and so, we can do some things like that and, or connect you with V-Trans if that's needed, but.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about for January, the master transportation plan and the bike ped plan need to be updated.
Okay, all right, you're already ahead of me.
Usually for a couple of years now.
Um,
But there's so many other things that we needed to have done that,
Yeah, on the third page, we are spending some time with you now, trying to help with the wastewater effort. So I think is Kate McCarthy.
Yep.
Yeah, great. So
She's awesome. She is good.
all right,
Really good at her
you
job.
can't afford her, so.
Believe me, I thought about it.
It's a good, I hadn't thought of it.
I didn't think about that.
Um,
Keep it in the order. We'll see about that.
Yeah,
Kidding.
It's fun,
they were
and it-
looking at the same time we were.
And it is, and some of this is also, I think of our staff as really supplementary staff to the town, if you do have an issue come up, like it does not hurt to ask us if we can help. Even if it's, spending some staff time that, you have limited staff, if, or you're looking at a grant application or a loan application, we can help often with those types of things.
You might mention how you're helping Underhill and another town with an employee. Because,
yeah.
because that's a new service, and if somebody,
Yeah.
because I've been also pushing to try to get a public works person part-time.
Hmm. Oh, interesting.
Because, if you're gonna do wastewater and you've got the stormwater issues and things like that, it takes, that adds capacity where the town administrator or general manager doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But to figure out how to do that is,
And so, and kind of in, and just to be very transparent, right? I mentioned we're like 70% federally funded, I have an interest from an organizational perspective in making sure, we're a healthy organization to diversify our revenue. So like one of the things Catherine just mentioned is we had a couple towns, Underhill and St. George specifically in this case, that I think Underhill had been advertising maybe for a year or 2, trying to
Right.
find a zoning administrator,
exactly.
couldn't find one. And so they came to us like, can you guys help? And so
Help with hiring or help somebody do our job for us for a little while?
Yep.
He's got
So what we've done is basically hired a staff person who is our employee, but is working for both towns under a contract. And so they're kind of sharing in her salary and benefits, like they're paying it. We're really not subsidizing it, but it's, you know, arguably more cost effective than trying to hire your own employee. And there's a little bit of, you know, the support for the employee too, like they're not kind of going alone. There's other staff that are familiar with the work and can, you know, be a sounding board beyond just the town administrator. You know, certainly, you know, Brad certainly knows what he's doing there, because he was doing it when they didn't have a ZA. But so that was one. You know, we've had you know, maybe a town planner, you know, public works person. Yeah, I don't know where this might go, or this is really the first time that we've done that. And so I think we're trying to see, like, how does this model work? You know, the person doesn't work in our office, they're working in the town offices. And that is the way I'm trying to reduce the cost of the towns by not charging our like full overhead rate that we charge to like other funding partners. So anyway, yeah, totally open to exploring things like that. I think just,
Doing something like that helps put together the package, so the person can have a full-time job. but
Right.
they can't figure out, you know,
Yep,
right,
exactly.
like two,
right,
right. And, you know, and for the person, you know, and there've been a lot of zoning administrators that have like, they work for two towns, you know, 15 hours here, 20 hours here, but neither pay any benefits, you know, and so it's tough on the employee too. So it seemed like, you know, we kind of give the employee maybe a little sweeter deal, but also maybe it's a little more hopefully stable situation for the towns.
We'll take a road crew person.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, I don't think we've got there yet.
everybody, everybody.
That's probably a full-time job.
Yeah, we'll take whatever you can give us.
Yeah,
Part-time, whatever.
Just like everybody in Chittenden County is looking
Is
for
that a
a job.
new, is that a new model? You guys
Yeah, this is
hiring,
really
you
the
guys-
first year. We just hired the first person in June. So, and it's not new. Other RPCs across the state have done this from time to time. So it's not new for RPCs to do that kind of thing. But yeah, I think we're exploring it here a little bit more. We're definitely, you know, our salaries and stuff are higher here than other parts of the state for sure. So we're testing it out, and you know, and it could go in some different directions as you were just talking. So yeah, happy to talk about any of those
Thank you,
ideas.
yeah. Good information.
Yeah, and actually, this is a good time to kind of go on this tangent. So in FY26, which is the fiscal year we're in now, there is another project that's, I don't think it's mentioned anywhere in this report because we just started it up. The bond bank, the state bond bank, Michael Gahn, I don't know if you've dealt with him at all, has got a grant from DEC to kind of work with the fire districts around the state, which I think you have one.
Mhm.
You know, and it's, I mean, I was just kind of learning about this in the last year or two of like, oh, I didn't realize there were these kind of separate fire districts that are, you know, kind of municipal, you know, limited service municipal governments, or limited purpose municipal governments. But, you know, they're, I always forget the name of the board, provincial board or something that runs the fire district. But they're
So ours is
typically,
a private, ours is a non-governmental, ours is a private,
yeah, some of them are nonprofits.
private nonprofit.
Yeah, and so, yeah, so there's a bunch of different models, but they're providing drinking water to
And that's a
residents
great
in the
way
state.
area.
And so, you know, Michael kind of approached us as the RPCs, and like, there's a lot of issues that they're seeing when they're trying to finance or provide loans to upgrade or maintain systems. And they're like, they don't even really have a handle on how big the issue is. And so, the bond bank has contracted with the RPC statewide to just work with these local water service providers. Maybe we'll use a more general term. You just see what issues they have. Some of it may be governance, some of it may be, you know, bookkeeping, financial tracking, or billing, and some of it may be the actual, you know, pipe maintenance or maintenance work. So we're just starting that project. So Ann Janda on my staff will probably be in touch with your water district, and I don't know, you know, but this conversation kind of struck a chord. Like, you know, I don't think this is like flying under the radar.
Mhm.
You know, 16 homes with a shared service, I expect.
It's not, yeah, I think his problem is because it's not a fire district, you think it's just a co-op.
Yeah.
Right,
that's
that's not like I'm on Jericho Underhill
Water
Water
District.
District. That's just
Yep.
a well that 16 people co-own.
And I was on, and when I lived in the foothills, I think that was the same thing. That was just.
You were under the
just
water
like-
I
district.
think the foothills is the one.
You were
that
under
has
the Jericho
fire-
Underhill Water
That is the
District.
fire district.
Mhm.
But we didn't have anything to do with Underhill Jericho Fire Department.
No, no. but-
No,
but- Yeah.
No, it's a totally different.
But the Jericho Underhill
Yeah,
Water
mhm,
District. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like a bigger, which is like
But it was run by the,
like thank you.
no, it was run by the citizens of that area.
Hmm.
Like it's just whoever was on the board.
Yeah, Mark Mayhew, yeah, he's been the guy forever, like the head of it,
I think it must be a different one.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't think.
There's the fire district, and then there's the Jericho Underhill Water District, and then there's the Village of Jericho Water District. So there is.
I think we're all three of those are water districts.
But I don't think race, I don't think
You
that.
probably are talking the fire district,
Okay,
you're
I'm
talking the Jericho Underhill Water District.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think that one's not on any of those three. I think it's another one
Oh.
like his, which
Oh,
is
okay.
private for like.
Oh,
80
interesting.
homes instead of
Mm.
16.
Yeah, so, and this is, I guess no surprise, just infrastructure, a lot of the stuff is 50, 60, 1965 years old, and, when we had a lot of the growth when, these neighborhoods were created. So, hey, we're kind of digging into this issue. I don't know where that will go, and how we might try to support those going forward, or the bond bank is looking to try to figure out. And I think frankly, it's gonna probably end up in the legislature at some level, because this is a big thing just around the state, and, and as we have, more extreme weather events, things are happening to the systems, stuff that weren't really anticipated. So anyway, just a heads up on that effort, that is not mentioned in the report, but this reminded me of, and maybe we'll get more involved in trying to help with things, or find grants for people, assuming there are still grants out there. The next section is a number of projects that you have in our transportation improvement program, which mirrors the state's capital transportation program. And so where we could, where there were dates and things scheduled, they're showing up here. And some of these may have already finished up this year. And others may not actually be scheduled yet for construction in the state's capital program yet. And then the last 2 or 3 pages are a bunch of regional activities that we have been working on last year that without regard to any specific municipality. The regional plan I mentioned and the land use map. We did a lot of community engagement, trying to reach people that don't typically participate also. And just a lot of engagement in general, housing work, energy work, transportation work, water quality. The communications union district, which was a broadband expansion. So there was, I think, like $2 million is going through my budget to pay Consolidated Communications to run some more fiber for broadband service. I think some of that is out in Jericho. No, you don't think so?
No, we're phase 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry for teasing you. Ignore that.
It depended on the B grant.
Yeah. And Comcast, it looks like it got that chunk of award in Chittenden County, I think. So I don't know how helpful that is. But anyway, happy to take any questions or feedback on any of these other things that we've been working on too. Wish I guess there, but.
It's a lot you guys do.
Yeah, kind of, sometimes afraid we're getting loved to death. But, and honestly, I mean, we're, since I got this job 17 years ago, and I don't know, Catherine might have been around at that point.
Oh, yeah, I was already there.
But
Not part of the hiring process, but
we
knew about it.
we didn't do anywhere near as much then as we do now. And so, I think, my whole position of what we're here to help the towns, and like, if we help the towns more and they like the service, they're gonna ask for more things to do, and that's also gonna mean state money flows also, because there are needs out there. So I think that's kind of what's been happening, and for better or worse, but I think a lot of just there's a lot of conversation going on in and around the legislature about the capacity of towns to address all the issues. I mean, I was just reading something, I can't remember which news, but, like, oh, disasters, towns are gonna be more on their own, like, there's a lot more weight and pressure, it feels like, coming on the towns, without any resources.
And without authority, we don't have much authority.
Yeah.
We only have what's,
Yeah.
what's given to us by the legislature, so.
Yeah, and so I should mention a couple follow-up things. I mentioned our work program application process. And I think Emma just sent out, I'm not sure, probably at least went to Eric and Paula about 3 months ago or so, VLCT co-hosted a little select board forum to try to share across select boards. I think there was some interest in doing that periodically, so we're gonna have another one of those, I think October 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got it also, I'm not sure. Did you
Yeah,
get
it may have gone to all of you, I'm not sure.
I signed up.
Emma's good at communicating.
But it's just Charlie said at the end of it, it was primary for this chairs or at least one representative.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want you to get into quorum issues up either, right? And then, second opportunity for some sharing across is we also legislative breakfast in early December. And we have, there's almost like 50 legislators that have a piece of Chittenden County. So it's like a third of the legislatures. Now, some of it's because they did some weird things, like Huntington is served by the Addison County Senator, right? And the Washington County State Rep. So they feel totally disenfranchised. So we have a lot of legislators, about half of them come to our breakfast. So, and I bring this up to the authority question, like if you have things that you think the legislature should start thinking about, please, we're all ears, let Catherine know, let me know, and we'll, try to get it into the conversation of things that should be addressed. We've been kind of talking about water, wastewater infrastructure quite a bit with them in recent years, and even the housing issues, and kind of permit reform and trying to make things easier for housing construction. So, I think it's been a good conversation, and sometimes we can carry those down into Montpelier also. So.
I guess one thing I would like to continue to see, I don't remember the numbers, but CCRPC set the charging.
Oh, the housing
targets. I'd love to know a plan on how to get there.
Yeah.
I hear a million opinions of all the things that are preventing it. I just want to see we talked about a little bit last night at the wastewater task force, right? Like, how about a drawing of what it could look like of what, not just the wastewater system, but like
what a new neighborhood.
What a neighborhood that could be served by it might look like, because I have personally been really challenged to imagine it, and I'm sure it's happening somewhere. And I think of, like, people keep talking about infill. I think one of you asked about it last meeting. So we've got all these lots, let's say they're an acre, and we're gonna make them so that they can build if they want. Really? Like, is that really the way to do it? Like, I'd just love to know. And so I think any of that, like, hey, I see you guys working on wastewater, great, but boy, if you tweak this zoning rule, boy, that would help this. Hey, if you partner with this building group, that, like, I think all of our challenges we have, I think that's the biggest one. And so I see those target limits, housing targets, and I want them to be true, but they feel aspirational. They just feel like, oh yeah, it'd be great to shoot for. Yeah, I'd love to.
I assume our staff,
there,
our staff probably used the word aspirational when they were talking about it, I hope. I'll say just a couple things on the housing targets, and I don't know if you folks are familiar with that, but we got housing targets. It was part of the Act 181 from a couple of years ago, from the housing commissioner, basically, but from the administration. They gave us a range, low to high. The low number, this is a little bit response, is pretty much the trend line of what's happening. So at one level, I'm kind of like, well, I think we could be somewhere in the range.
Yeah.
Maybe here.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of trend, and honestly not solving the affordability issues and all the other issues related. But
right.
The high end is kind of 3 times trend. That does not seem real to me either. And so the more realistic conversation. It has been kind of more in the middle. And you're right, Eric, like the capacity in that economic sector is not there right now. Like really, like we produce maybe, I'm gonna make this up a little bit, but I think like maybe 20 to 25% of the housing that we did in like the 80s and 70s. And so the people, like the builders and the contractor like that were here in the 70s and 80s, you know, retired or they moved on. Like we just don't have the capacity in that field right now. So it's
Yeah,
when I testified about it, it's
yes,
gonna take a while.
all the answers and I'm hiding them from us, but I'm just saying,
No,
you know, we,
and I'm just trying to manage expectations. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that's real in the short term either. It's
Yeah.
like we're trying to
but
turn
I think
pretty
we were
long
at,
shit.
I think my memory's terrible about the details, so forgive me if I say stuff wrong, but didn't we just approve the CCRPC? What was it from the CCRPC?
Probably,
Did we just
it was probably related to our land use mapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
housing
Oh,
targets.
Tier maps and the.
Tier 1B.
Tier
Tier
1B
1B map.
Tier 1B, but I think the second motion was about agreeing with the targets.
I don't know that we were asking for specific motions about that, but we might have been taking some feedback, or maybe you voted, you know, up or down on it.
Definitely the tier 1B.
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
with
yeah.
that. We
And-
definitely did that.
And the housing targets were in part of that conversation.
But, you know, to follow this up, I mean, if you, within the document here, I mean, even Charlie talks about even the RPC, which is part of Homes 2.0. They had the target of 1,000 houses per year. They can't even, all the organizations that belong to that can't make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those are affordable, right? Like, or the organizations,
Yeah.
family housing trusts here. But, and we're not builders. Like, this is really just policy and PR work, right? Like, we're trying to promote that to like encourage people to do more. And there's a lot more to be done there for sure. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, you said that, you know, your question was, what can we do to keep feeding us what we should be doing, because
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
think
not good at like noticing some article and understanding how that could maybe connect with it. Some of them are pretty obvious, but others I'm like, oh.
that's why it's getting.
Like you say tier 1B to me before that meeting, I'd be like, that's the most boring thing I've ever heard. Oh, no, that actually allows you to build all this stuff. Oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, so I think those are, I mean, that was a really good example of like, you guys need to do tier 1B, do it now.
And your tier 1B map, so I should also disclose, you know, we're gonna be submitting to the land use review board for what they call a pre-application review of that map in particular, and our whole regional plan, but the map in particular. I definitely for Jericho, I expect we're gonna get some pushback. You're an unusual town in how much of public water system you have, and kind of how low density you are. So I don't mean that in a, I'm not trying
Yeah,
to.
we'd like to get some more housing. I don't know.
Go to the legislative breakfast. I wasn't good at, because of breakfast. I told Charlie early on,
Yeah,
I don't do breakfast.
No morning meetings, got it.
I did one meeting this year, but yeah, because there's this, you know, that Chris came to us last time about where it's this opportunity that they're trying to do pilot things where you have all these plans that you can, you know,
Oh, yeah.
run through. And, you know, and it's a pilot program where you can get 10 plans and, you know, for all these different things from, you know, ADUs to quadplex.
Yeah, was that from UVM recently?
It's called All Homes.
The toolkit.
Homes for All.
Homes for All toolkit, they were, yeah. So, yeah, there's a bunch of things happening, but on the map in particular, because you saw it, voted on it, you know, I am not gonna be surprised if the state pushes back a little bit and, you know, says your mapped area is too large. So just the circumstance here is pretty unusual.
You know,
compared
the
to other
three town
towns.
centers.
Yeah, that, yep, and even just the extent of you mentioned the 3 water systems is pretty unusual. Colchester has a little bit of the same, but they're, you know, 3 or 4 times the size, or many homes, so.
So what exactly is unusual, Jericho?
Just the extent of your water systems
Like
The geography.
There's multiple kinds?
Well, there's three.
Entities, you mean, or?
You got three, it's just the sheer area that is served. It's a very low density area to be served by public water. Which is, is going to, and I'm sure has been probably for the water districts, probably a challenge because the users are spread out, so they got a lot.
We're spread out, we're pumping water a long distance for a
That's
lot
right.
of people.
You got a lot of pipe with not as many users on it. Which makes it, more challenging over the long term. And then there's also how does that relate to some of the states? Like the states have these land use goals that are kind of like about, compact settlement patterns, in our urban areas and villages separated by rural countryside, right? And like, well, that water system doesn't look like it's really trying to do a compact settlement pattern. And so I expect there'll be some policy pushback on including you in that Act 250 exemption area. I don't know for sure. I'm not wishing for bad news.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some.
and they'd be saying what?
They would be saying, pull those map areas in tighter, closer to your villages, your actual village centers and things. I don't know for sure. I'm just, when I looked at your map and actually saw how it looked, I was like, oh, that'll spark some interesting reaction. And the heads up, that'll probably be either late November or early December. The Land Use Review Board, which is a pretty new board, and this is the first time they're going through this review process. This whole process is all new. They are talking about wanting to tour in each of the regions, like some key areas. Your town might be one of those towns that they might want to stop and look at, and talk to Chris or you or somebody. It's probably going to be an afternoon type of thing. So anyway, going down a rabbit hole that I don't need to right now, but this way I can say, well, I'm working that way now.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah.
Should we tell Bob DeVos to talk with you about his issue, or is it kind of premature for where you guys are?
Let me take a look at this. I'm not sure we can do too much with, like, as we were talking about this private, situation, but it'd be easier if it was more of a public system.
Yeah.
Or, the quasi.
Or,
No, sorry.
Okay, no, that's great, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Next on the agenda, we have review and consider approval of fog line striping from L&D Safety.
So the first quote and the second quote, they're a huge difference.
Yeah.
And this is paving the class 2 roads like Barber Farm, Browns Trace, Skunk Hollow, Governor Peck and Lee River. The first quote is traditional white fog lines. But as you probably remember, Phil had asked to be part of the discussion about fog lines, and she wanted to have maybe like a grippier fog line.
Right.
And that's what the second quote would be, is the 33,000. So we go from 11,126 to 33,862. So there is a huge difference to put that grippy paint down.
Grippy line.
So
For bikers.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
I actually
It's
heard,
very slippery. Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a question though. Because it's an epoxy paint, would that last 3 times as long?
I actually Googled, I didn't know what it was, so I Googled epoxy grip paint for fog lines, and I retired. And I came across a state study from 1998 that compared waterborne
Mhm,
fog lines with epoxy with a third thing.
mhm.
And the life expectancy of waterborne, which is the $11,000 number, is 2/3 of a year.
Mhm.
Right, because it does wear out.
And the life expectancy of the epoxy is 2.5 years.
Yep.
So when you divide it out by year, the epoxy is $3,500 a year,
Mhm.
and the waterborne is $16,000 a year in terms of, if we're gonna repaint it. But we don't repaint it every year, right?
Although
Yeah,
people do
I mean,
this too.
But Brown
Yes.
Street's been gone from, it was
Exactly.
gone almost immediately. It felt
Yeah.
like.
For sure.
But
And
that's
that was
what
the
people are
original.
complaining of the
Right,
centers.
because they go away
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I don't know what our budget situation is like, 'cause this is this fiscal year we're living in now, not
Mhm.
next year. But if it's worth the investment to have the lines last
Yeah.
longer. I'm not, I mean, I feel like, if I remember when we painted Brown's Trace, it felt like a million years ago, but. I felt like they were,
Several years.
I felt like they were gone in like 6 months. It was like, well, cause yeah,
Which that is
they got
correct.
pushed in. I was
Yes,
like, well, that doesn't matter
exactly.
more because they're gone immediately.
Yeah, and that is correct. I think people wrote that line.
Right, that
so much
especially people like.
Wore it out real
Right,
quick.
right.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I don't mean to complicate things, but that was.
No, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I know that the epoxy did last longer, but I wasn't sure it lasted that much longer.
They claimed, like the websites claimed 3 years, but the state study said 2.5.
mhm.
When were we planning on doing this?
Well, if we don't get it in soon, it'll probably be this spring.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Does it make a lot of sense to paint and then plow it all off?
Go into our hardest time of year, like.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, so we're gonna get like 4 weeks of use out of them, and
Right.
then they're gonna be all covered in snow and
Mhm.
whatever.
And
So
then we worn off.
Right, and then they'll have like 1 year, because the biggest wear is the plowing. So the
Yeah, yeah,
Study says, so
exactly.
we like put them down and immediately plowing on them for the first 6 months.
Yep.
Then we're like a year in, then only 6 months.
Mhm.
So do the epoxy in the spring.
Yep.
I would vote for that.
do you think they would honor the same quote
Mhm.
for the spring?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, especially since you're going for the more expensive paint.
Right,
grease the skids a little bit for them.
Yeah.
Love
Mhm.
paying that.
mhm.
Oh, you want to be like a mafia guy and slide a big pile of cash and make things happen. That's great. I'm glad you looked that up. I had that same question and did not take the time to Google it, so.
We
And I
have
imagine
had
it lasts
in
longer
the
now.
Budget to do this in the spring.
This is not in the budget, but there is some in the budget for this, for line striping, but not the whole 33,000. Will be over probably 11,000.
But that's in the
It
road
is.
crew budget, right? It's like the big road crew number.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh,
300. How big is that number?
the road crew's over $1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would make a motion to accept the bid from, L&D Safety Marking Corporation for the epoxy, white line epoxy paint process.
I agree with 2,862.50. Second that.
Would you mind, just for the record, one more time, saying exactly which road this will cover?
Yep.
So that you got it.
Yep, it's Barber Farm, Brown's Trace, Skunk Hollow, Governor Peck and Lee River.
Power Found, Brown's Trace, Skunk Hollow.
Lee River.
Governor Peck.
For $33,862.50.
That's a lot of line, that's a lot of,
Mhm.
that's a lot of heads.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of paint.
No, epoxy.
No.
Yeah.
Epoxy. A lot of paint.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Yeah, I'd much rather spend more and do it less.
Right, and
Yeah.
not just if you're like, just wear that money.
Yep.
Especially going into winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, I think that's smart, Eric, to not do it right now.
Budget stuff.
So I think it got missed in probably too much email, but I think Peter wanted to have a sort of an overall discussion
Mhm.
before we jump
Before-
right into budget, and so even though it's not on the agenda that way, budget's on the agenda, so I figured close enough. So did you want to talk about what you had in mind
Process?
a little bit, or?
Yeah, well, what I wanted to do was look at kind of two things. One, I was thinking that Laura and Amy haven't done it before. And I remember last year, I was kind of like, wait, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? Like, oh, we just like, I think this is true, but like at the end of tonight, the town treasurer budget will be decided.
No. Because you're gonna put it all together at the end and then change it.
Well, right, but we're gonna, yes, right, we're gonna have a
I
second.
think this is the first year we've been better about starting earlier.
Yeah.
And
So you look at it, but then when you put it all the pieces together, you go, okay, let's go back, let's start, with the red pen.
Right, we're gonna break it down into like groups. So like tonight will be these 4 groups, and then the next one will be, what is it? Like highway, we'll discuss, employee expenses and benefits, and building and property and maintenance. So those will be like another group. And then the next one will be, what I said, select board admin, and then the committees. So we'll kind of break them down into groups and kind of go over them. And then at the final, I think going through and looking at that whole picture, you'll see, you know, the changes, like highway. I think for just purposes of budgeting, highway, I feel has been really restricted, like really kind of like, well, we're gonna crunch it as much as we can. Being that we have a new building, we kind of cut back on the building maintenance prices. But I think now there has been a huge cost increase, especially with like tariffs on tools and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I asked Jacob to really be really big with this budget and put what you actually think that it's gonna need. So you'll see highway first from last year to this year be more, because salt, we just got the salt budget and that's gone up $11.50 a ton. So that's huge,
That's
right?
huge.
That's like a huge amount.
What percentage is that?
How much is that? What was it like? Like $11?
88 last year
88.
versus 99.50 this year. Is, yeah.
And we use
Yeah.
more than, you know, I mean, you could use more than one ton.
So like
A lot
each time you'll see that, like each of these sections, most of the sections, like these sections tonight are pretty easy. There's not a lot of change. There'll be like, you'll just see the change in the salary, which is I put the cost of living, which right now it's 3.5%. So I put that cost of living in there. The insurance went up 5.4%. You won't see that insurance change in this one that you got tonight. We just put that in yesterday. But those types of things under these types of departments are pretty easy, but you get, the highway is like a huge one. Those will be like a big topic to discuss, and we could have Jacob here as well to go over those. But then you'll go into, I think the last and final would be like outside agencies. Those are pretty standard. They pretty much stay the same. They don't fluctuate too much.
Do we have our requests in from them yet? Or
No.
when do those usually come in?
We've asked for them to be in by the, I think it's October. I don't know what Linda's got for a deadline. I think it's towards the end of October. Maybe it's the 1st of November. But those are, we really have to fight to get those back in. A lot of them
It's kind of funny because
Yeah.
they're asking us to just give them money.
right.
Gotta
We
do
really have to
That,
pull.
like, Howard Center.
Yep.
Island.
Yes.
That-
But then also
Yep.
like ones that, it's not all just like nonprofits that do good work. It's like,
Right.
it's like,
course.
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's also, but it's like Kuzi,
Yeah.
which is the state agency.
Chittenden Unit
Sexual
of
assault
Special Investigations, you know,
Yeah.
things like those.
Like-
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
come in, like, so it's a weird amalgam of, it's not just all just like,
Yes.
oh, like.
Yeah.
Better women, those, it's a whole range
Right,
of
for
like,
sure.
any money you spend that isn't
Mandated.
Yeah.
town.
But what
That's
does
a
the-
formula that's
No,
pretty consistent.
No, they just
Yeah.
ask, it's basically the same amount that they ask for. I mean, they could ask for a little bit more, but we ask why they're increasing it. And then you come across, the Jericho Underhill Fire Department. That's gonna be a joint meeting with the Underhill Select Board. So all of you will meet for that meeting and you'll go over their budget, ask questions, see, you know.
typically it would be like one select board member and the town administrator get together with the fire department.
Yeah,
Start-
before that, yep, yeah, but when it comes down to everybody meeting, it'll be a joint meeting for that one in particular. Everything else is pretty much,
But the idea of doing it this way, we had done this earlier in my tenure, is that it gives people a chance to talk about, small bites to start with, and then you have, your budget workshops periodically throughout to look at the bigger pictures and see how things are playing out. Because, obviously, we went up quite a bit last year, but we had reasons to explain it, but people were impacted. And then that's gonna happen again this year, and so you have to look at it and go, but I know that early on, when I first joined the board, Bob Penman wanted an additional 3 cents on the dollar, on the budget for the, to put as it's a millage for specifically for the highway. Because it was far less than it is now in terms of the annual operating expenses.
What's a, I'm talking about, what's a millage? What's three cents on the dollar for a millage?
It's an additional tax on the people just for that,
For what? The highway?
for the highway. That's what we started with, because way back when, we didn't have, a standard operating budget.
Do you mean Route 89?
No, this budget,
The highway budget.
our highway budget,
Oh, our town roads budget.
our town.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking Route 89.
No, it's a mill. Oh,
Sorry.
no.
Sorry.
We don't have a lot to do with that.
I was like, which highway is this?
Yeah, that's what's done. No, but
millage.
What's the millage?
millage is the, like 0.001 cent, a penny on the, on the $100 kind of thing. That's how many, mills it is that you're gonna add to the budget.
Milliliter.
So like 1 penny, what's the $100?
Well, that's what it would be per hundred,
Per 100, okay. House valuation? or-
yeah. Or, $100, it's a very tiny amount, it comes out, like it's so many mills for the.
We don't do that anymore.
No, we don't do that, that's what started, that's what we did because the road budget was so constrained then.
Right.
And so people voted additional money using that mechanism. Then Todd came in as the town administrator and he started looking at the, the ongoing operating costs and came up with a standardized. And then some years you put money in, some years you took it out because, but
Yeah.
now that's too small based on what you're saying.
Yeah,
Because tariffs and everything else, the cost, everything has gone up so much.
yeah.
The salt budget from way back, just even a few years ago was just skyrocketing.
I kept track of it from when I was in the other position, and I've got them written down every year of what it was, and I think at first it was like 60 something, and now it's up to 99.
And the same thing that's changed with the asphalt per ton. I mean,
Yeah.
that jumped.
All of these little things, which I hope Jacob and I will be able to point out like the changes and you'll see. I think it's beneficial because, last year we took out the $195,000 in the paving, and that was huge. That was a huge hit. So we couldn't do paving, a lot of the paving. And then we kind of cut back on the building maintenance. We weren't gonna put a lot into the building maintenance of the old building because we're building a new building. So a lot of those places, but now you're gonna have to think about like building maintenance with the new building. It's gonna be the heat and the electricity. It's a bigger building and you're gonna have those things that are gonna add up. So, but I think this is a good start going in a group, and then like we have the deadline that we've kind of worked out for TMRI is hopefully being done by December 18th. So going through each one of those, December 18th is
Why are you going through everything?
Yeah, that's a month.
Yeah.
And then you start the.
That might be the one where you're like, oh God, it's too big.
What
And then you
have we
gotta
done?
go back and do all these.
Right.
You've had those conversations. So
Yeah,
Right.
context, okay.
And I think
$1,000
like-
we gotta take that back out, we can't.
Right, and I think
Yeah.
that like what you're saying is coming up with a process, like how far do you wanna, do you wanna go through all of these like certain groups, right? And then have a budget session to be like, oh, this, instead of like, let's meet after this group and there's certain things like this group, I don't see having like a change, right? Like, I think if you get that bigger picture as more comes in and that, before that, I don't know, December date, kind of having a.
Because in January, you have to warn the capital budget, because it's a public hearing process.
Mhm.
And then that gets folded into your regular budget. And of course, you want to have that final draft by the middle of January, because then the 21st, 22nd, something like that is the TMRI.
The 22nd, the 20th, I'm sorry.
20th.
Within 20.
So by that, you've got to have it all prettied up by that select board meeting.
Right,
prior
so
to
I
that.
think going back to Peter's thing, is figuring out how you want to structure this and where
Do
you.
you have the chunks broken out, like October 2nd is these four,
Yep.
October 16th is these.
Yeah, it's on, I sent it out to
Send
you
it
guys,
out.
but I can send it out again. It's on this budget process timeline that I have. Like the 16th is, like I said, highway employee expenses and benefits, building properties. November 6th would be select board admin, the Jericho Conservation Commission mobs, Jericho Bike Ped Committee. November 20th would be planning and zoning. So, and then December 4th would be outside agencies and debt services. And December 18th would be the final, would be the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. I have the town library on there, but I've already gotten their budget, so it will kind of move around, but at least that's kind of a guideline of what we
Well,
like
that
to
would
do.
also be good to have on the website so people can see and say, oh, I want to show up for this one because I want to argue when it comes to
That's
building.
that's a
exactly.
good idea.
Yeah.
Because, because based on the kickoff, there are a lot of expenses that people wanted to see. So
Mhm.
obviously, so,
Okay. I have a timeline's right here. I apologize. That's perfect. That's exactly what I was.
Yep, and I think that's great. I will put that on the website if it's not already there.
And the question is, as we go along, obviously with this, it's not that case, but, do we go ahead and put in like, okay, somebody wanted to have more money for adult recreation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, when we, tonight we're gonna talk about rec and the summer rec.
Mhm, mhm.
So if you put the money in, and then all of a sudden, okay, so we now come to, we've all of a sudden jumped the tax rate by 20%.
Mhm.
So that's when. okay,
Yeah, you guys are gonna see as Brian helps us, the treasurer.
Yeah.
And we have this huge budget spreadsheet that we work on throughout this process, and it'll show you changes. It'll show you that percentage of what you're gonna have to pay in taxes and what the percentage is, and that's what they kind of go by is, this amount is 20%, and that's what we're gonna be paying for taxes. You kind of work with that and kind of figure out in that budget where to cut it down and.
And that's when you decide whether things are gonna be a line, a special, line item on the Australian ballot. Or.
Right, and I think that's again for like Peter said,
Yeah.
what is that gonna be for you guys?
Well, it
What is,
doesn't even matter. I mean, if you look and all of a sudden your budget is like 20% up, we're gonna say, okay, we have to cut somewhere. We either cut or we put it on the ballot and people either gonna vote on it or not. Whether,
True.
it doesn't matter whether it's 15,000 or 50,000. But if all of a sudden you're asking the taxpayers to pay 2 years in a row that look like a 20% jump,
Mhm.
that's asking a lot.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And so, yes, we should add some of these things just because, just so people can understand
Yeah.
how the select board has to think about the whole big picture.
Mhm.
Because you don't want the kickoff to be undermined by saying, oh, we can't do anything.
Yeah, and that was my thing. And I emailed Gay and Dave and I said, hey, I did this yesterday. So I said, apologies for the last minute email, but we're starting the budget tomorrow. Is there any way, where are the notes? When are they coming to us? Da, 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 da.
Coming soon.
They didn't have them yet, but SJ sent just me the raw notes for each small group. And Dave said, get it together as soon as I can. It won't be for tonight. But I think that in the future, the target should be to get those turned around and into the select board's hands before we begin the budget process. I mean, if the budget process is like, oh, we hear from the town,
Right,
then we do our first pass on the budget.
Yeah.
And then we have our meeting, like if it's like we have a meeting, a bunch of notes are taken, we ignore that. We build our budget, in the middle, the notes show up and we
Right.
go, oh, you know what I mean? Like the process is,
right.
that's helping us think about the budget and then
Yeah.
we don't have those notes when we're already being in the budget, just.
That's the hard thing,
Right.
like for us, at least the staff, right, is we're preparing this of what we can. But if you do have these little side conversations of like, oh, we wanna, whatever,
We want
Right.
a pool,
a
Yeah.
pool or,
Yeah.
something like that, or
because that was one of the
like
biggest.
wastewater, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on over here? We can't enter that in here
Yeah.
because it's like a conversation, but it's not like, here, send this to
Yeah.
us so we can put it in there.
Yeah.
That's a hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So Dave will get it to us, and I think it's just a note for next year that like, we
Yeah.
should talk to TMRI people and say, hey, we put a system in place where we can get that stuff or hold together and hand it to us so we can consider it as we begin the budget process. But again, I think Paul is right that the stuff we're talking about tonight isn't really
It was,
kind of boilerplate stuff.
and like some of the things like the, the library, I mean, that came up at all the small groups. Because the library had talked about that at the beginning.
So I have to say, I
So that would
got
be
the
part-
library's budget, there's.
But no, but they're
nothing in
asking,
there.
they wanted to be, it would have to be in the capital budget.
Okay,
They told them not to.
okay, okay,
And they needed to have it of their own.
But,
right.
but then
Okay.
the other line, the $50,000 that they want for the next 4 years would be a capital. Even though it's
mhm.
not a 5-year thing, but it's a substantial.
Right, but
money.
again, like
the
Peter
guy-
said, when do you get that? When do you get that
Oh, we
information?
got that in small groups. That came off the
But
kickoff.
the
Right,
select board hasn't heard that. and
Exactly.
The 5 of us weren't
You
told,
have to
hey,
be presented with that in order to take
Well,
it in.
60, but Lynn Leslie already came to the select board, prior to kickoff, talking about that 50,000 per year, if you remember.
Right,
Right, but-
and
but
the
it's-
guidance we gave them was,
Right,
we think you need to lobby,
Mhm.
question and ask the voters to approve it.
Yeah.
So that would be,
So
so
I
that
wouldn't
could be-
expect that to be on their budget request.
okay,
That's all.
okay,
right.
okay,
But if we had the stuff from the TMRI, that would be loud and clear in there, that like,
yeah,
library's request to consider this idea, but that hasn't officially come to the board. We all
Yes,
heard it. in the
right,
meeting. It
exactly,
hasn't been handed to Paul, like, hey, Paula, keep
Right.
the board's agenda.
right,
right,
right.
but see, that would be, I would put it, just so people could understand that would have show up at
Because
the capital budget. so
realistically,
you
that
can see how much
meeting,
that's going to
the
be.
TMRI was just a discussion. It's not
Right,
presented to
right.
the board.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so,
But that's what we wanted people, because we told them to come to the meetings for the budget. But it's also for us to listen to see what people want in the budget. So we
Yeah.
can't totally ignore that either.
right.
So the idea, that $50,000, we could, throw it in the capital budget, see what it does to the taxes so that people understand it. But that may be something that you said becomes a specific line item in the Australian ballot.
Yeah, that was our guidance.
right, that's it, yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Just was absorbing.
Mm. Mhm.
Anyway. Every year the budget process is a little, it's just a lot of work. So
Mhm.
tonight we have,
So if you want to go through a little bit, like the town treasurer, nothing basically changes in the town treasurer.
Okay.
There's nothing really in here for a discussion. There is, the only thing that you will see on your budget sheets that you got, there is going to be a change on that insurance or the benefits line item because we didn't at the time have the insurance rates and now we do.
okay, so that'll update.
Yep,
My only question was last year, I think we increased Amy's hours.
Yep.
And that's going okay? Does she
Yep.
feel like she's at the right amount? And
Yep.
we can-
yep, 32 hours Amy is.
Okay,
So I also, you're just doing a plain straight cost of living at 3.5. I mean, so there's no real raise there because you're just trying to beat the inflation.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
that's
I mean,
that's what I
That's
plugged
hard
in.
too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Because technically, maybe it could be 375, so that there's a little bonus there.
for sure,
That's
and
all being
that's,
considered, saying, here's cost of living,
Yep.
board, what do you want to do?
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely, that's
That's what
why it's
I'm
on you
talking
guys.
Yeah,
Because they're treading water.
Yep.
We're asking you to
Right.
tread water.
right.
Mhm,
Work for us for a year and
mhm,
you're gonna not increase your buying power at all next year.
right,
So
I mean,
that's why I'm
I
saying,
can't speak for the entire private sector, but I can say, the last 2 years have not been close to
right,
3.5.
for sure,
Not even.
for sure,
Raises,
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mine were like half that to divide up amongst 2016.
you keep those numbers up.
Yeah, they're not doing raises. I know.
I should know this, but do we have any union people
No,
anywhere in the town?
nope,
There is a pension program, municipal pension
Mhm,
program.
mhm. I'll skip over town clerk because I know Jessica is here and she'll probably want to speak to hers. I'll just go through the other two and then we can go back to Jessica if you want.
Was that like, Laura? was
I
that-
think, nope, just, I don't know.
Just on there.
Lauren.
Lauren is a woman, I think, who was at my table for, what you call it, she sent me an email saying, hey, I tried to log into the meeting.
Oh,
And I said it here, and I sent her. the
Okay, good.
Zoom link, so I think it's just.
And then L&D was
that's
Laura.
it.
yep, Lori.
So talk about listing.
Yeah, listing, there's not really a lot of changes in the listing except for travels, meeting and subscriptions. Lori'd like to do a little bit more of the meetings, maybe with Martha to have her attend more, seminars and trainings for listers. And the mapping, you'll see a difference from 2,500 to 4,000, and that's because the cost increase, coming down the pike from Nemrick.
Yeah, because, when we do the town report, you have the budget for FY27, but you also have the actual budget and actual for 2025. Because that's, the town meeting also.
Yeah, Brian's gonna go in and plug in the FY25s. I plugged in some that you can see in the actuals FY25. I plugged in what I could. So you'll see those here.
Yeah, I do, and that's why I'm gonna say people may ask why on some of these that are so different from what we budgeted.
Lori says have mandated trainings now by state and certifications that need. Yeah, the state is really cracking down on them and they have to be mandated trainings and for the lister's office.
Yeah, because, people are, may ask, okay, you budgeted in 25, because they used to do that, at one point, they paid attention to what we spent the year before. So you've got salaries of 39,000, all of a sudden it's 49,560 for the same, budget and actual.
Sorry, lost, where are you looking right now?
I'm looking, people used to ask, how come your actuals were so much more than your actually budgeted? But now you're also gonna drop the, like you went from 39,108, that was our budget in 2025, to 49,569 in the actual.
Oh, I missed the budget and actual, okay, I didn't miss that.
Yeah, and so that's, people go say, hey, but then of course, 2026, we budgeted what we could see was coming down the pipe, the actual. And, then of course, it's just a small increase from 2026.
Right.
The same thing's gonna be, people might ask the same difference with the town clerk salary.
And you'll
I'm just
see-
saying, you should be prepared to answer that if that happens.
And each of us kind of owns one piece of this, that you like, say like, I'm gonna present this, I know this inside out and backwards, I can explain every single dollar and the why.
Right, so they'll break it up.
We'll break it up.
TMR.
You never know which one.
Eric usually loves to do most of it and he'll just give
He'll
you
just give you
some.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Usually pick the controversial ones, so if you get to the first one,
Yeah, he gets to do revenue.
Yeah,
Chairs always do the revenue.
yeah.
How come some, like the town clerk, say 6% and the.
Yep.
Says 2.9?
So you'll see like Amy, she is at the 3.5, right? And that's the treasurer's.
Yep.
Listing, you'll see 2.9, and that's because Lori doesn't work full-time. She only works like 14, 16 hours, something like that. I'm sorry, Lori, if I don't know, but that's where she is. And then we have Martha, 4 hours maybe a week. So you will see that fluctuate throughout the whole budget process. Jessica's 6%, that's because, I think that's added, of what she's asking for, so that could be the assistant, as
That's
well
right, 8
as
hours
the
assistance,
clerk.
Yeah.
So that, you'll see that change, that 6% includes Jessica and the 8 hours of like an assistant or something, so it adds into that.
But shouldn't the salaries on listing be the same, still be 3.5, but everybody got a 3.5% increase?
It's different because of the fact that they're not the hours, that changes that rate. So if you go into, I can show you the budget.
Okay,
I'll send that to you,
Yeah, sure.
because you'll see it in the budget.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'd love a new copy of, you're talking about the spreadsheet?
Yep,
Yeah.
With all the tabs down
I
below.
can send it to you all.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's the same link, please. Yeah, hasn't been.
Brian, I'll have a huge spreadsheet with tabs and every tab, they're all interconnected in the tab, like, right here's the listing budget and all.
Yeah, so at the bottom, you'll see a lot of different tabs, and a lot of them we don't deal with. Brian likes to do his calculations on most of them, but you'll see like the budget of FY27. And that will be your main budget. You'll see that whole budget. But if you scroll over on the bottom, you'll see FY27 where it starts treasurer and then administrative and then clerks and then highway and planning and zoning. And that's where we plug in that salary. And that will automatically get transferred over to the budget. Brian's got it set up with a formula just to push it right over to the budget. But you'll see all of those. And if you have questions, definitely send me an email or whatever.
Great, thanks.
While we're on, or close to listers, I think I should know this, but will the next tax bills have the new values, the new home values?
Oh, from the reappraisal?
Yeah.
Lori, did you hear that?
They're due in 2026. They're gonna finish in 2026.
Yeah,
So I don't
So
know.
they-
What you mean, not the next tax payment in March, but.
No, the tax
next
bill, the
September.
tax bills for this budget. that we're building.
2027.
I mean,
yeah, FY27,
because that's gonna make that question that we love answering really, really hard.
right,
And harder to figure out
Yep.
per 100,000 because we don't know what your houses are gonna be valued at.
Yep.
Because it's the grand list of April 1st is what determines
Mhm,
the tax base.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Lori's at her computer right now, but,
She said yes.
no, that's about,
That's
like,
earlier.
oh,
There you go, April 1st.
April 1st, 2026. So,
So,
What's that?
so
What's that
the
mean?
tax bills that are coming out for the budget we're building now, which come out, let's say, early August, those are gonna be based on the new, yeah, thank you.
yep,
Okay.
yep,
Great,
So we are-
that's gonna
So,
complicate.
so
Really
Yeah,
not gonna
because-
know.
yeah.
So
yeah,
it's complicated.
Right,
sometimes we like to try to help people understand, hey, this
Yeah.
garage is gonna cost you
Yeah.
this.
yeah,
But we can still do it.
We can
just base it up based on last year.
Right,
And
just
if
say-
last year's value was this, here's how it would have, and we'll come up with our best guess. And it's a complete
Mhm.
guess because you have to guess based on what the grand list is gonna do based on new homes being built or whatever.
But it still should be a ballpark number because
Mm.
everybody's valuation should go up and your taxes shouldn't go up based on
Mm.
reappraisal.
Right.
Unless you added something or whatever.
Right.
And it'll still give a good ballpark number, like the garage is gonna cost you $18 a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, but.
Yeah.
It may end up being $23.
the tax rate comes down to meet the reappraisal.
That
Right,
doesn't mean
right.
the tax rate comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Houses are all worth more,
Mhm.
Tax
so
rate.
your tax rate goes down.
Yeah.
You still
So
pay,
yeah, same
you
amount.
still pay
Yep.
$6,000, but that's only
Yeah.
2%.
Right,
Yeah, no, I get that. It just, we kind of started this precedent a couple years ago where when we're, especially with big items, where we're like, hey, if your house is worth this, here's our best guess of what the impact of this on your actual, because we throw around huge numbers.
Oh,
It's hard to
yeah.
be a
yeah.
citizen who's not paying attention to this to be like, okay, so it's like.
$1 million, why care about that?
Right, what is the amount?
Right,
Yeah,
about this,
yeah,
it's a big
bottom
deal.
line, yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll just have to do it based on,
So much per hundred.
Mhm.
but lots of caveats and asterisks when we say that.
Moving on to summer rec. You'll see in FY25, which is that second column in from the left, they really did well last year. So that was huge. But we always like to kind of ballpark the income. You'll see the summer recreation fees, that is the income that comes in. And then you have the salaries, benefits, that is not, they
Correct.
don't, huh?
Those numbers can't be correct.
Yeah.
$138,000.
No, yeah.
No, but actually,
it does-
yeah, the actual.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, those are, are you talking FY27
I'm
or?
talking FY25 actuals. I was gonna ask you,
It's
so,
12,924.
yeah.
Can't
I
be
was-
right.
I would say that.
Oh, yeah, that's gotta be.
Yeah, and
right.
then, like,
129,000 something.
Yep, exactly. That's probably what it is.
probably, because if you look, because using the numbers that came up
Yep.
with the 267,000.
Yeah, that's just a,
I
that's
went back
that's
and
a
it came
typo.
up to 211,000 would be the salaries, and went, no, that's totally.
Yeah,
totally
no,
fine.
that's just a typo, so that,
Yeah.
we can definitely change that.
Yeah.
The things that changed in summer rec is supplies and equipment. As more kids join the camps, she needs more supplies, so she did raise that up to 15,000 from
And I imagine
8,000.
they cost more because a lot of stuff came from China.
Yeah, they're definitely. Everything else stayed the same down until you see facility rentals. That went down. And that's due to the fact that we had 2 storage units from Jericho Mini Storage, and it was $1,300 a year. And every year we've paid $1,300 times 2 for the summer rec.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but Megan, thank God for Megan, because she came up and said that we could get storage containers for
Half of that.
half of that and have it for, that's what we did. We bought 2 storage containers. They're over at the highway department, and that's where the summer rec is. So that was great. And
Yeah,
then,
that was one of my questions.
yep.
That was very good.
Yep. The CIT program, that just went up 500 as Lynn wanted to get more CIT kids in. It's counselors in training.
Okay.
Yep. And
CIT
then,
program?
what's that?
You said that's a CIT program?
Yep, the counselor in trainings.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Hey, now that I have to be the one that approves the warrants, the initial approver of them, I notice all those, especially because I thought 7C, I'm like, why are
There's
we,
a
wow, we
lot
got
of them.
names in here. How many peers have jobs and you don't? What's going on?
This, the one, that's a good answer, because people will look and say, why are you putting $2,500 to the CIT program? When theoretically, the actual, for, 2025 was $765.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Yep.
Yeah, and so, yeah, when it's, I think what Catherine's getting at is when it's
When you
time,
see
when
that
it's time,
difference.
you wanna look at that far right column.
Mm-hmm.
And those, that'll give you a little hint to pull,
To ask a question, like a flag.
7%, okay, so
Mhm.
something big is there, and then, which is fine, you just wanna be able to speak to it, because
Mm-hmm.
if it's you might get like, who knows, it could trigger like 15 people in the audience, and they, I mean, you've been there, so you've seen it.
Yep,
So,
yep.
That's why you keep smiling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah.
The table this time.
Yeah.
So now, I think if Jessica wants to speak on the clerk's, budget.
Wait, quick question.
Yeah.
So the total, that in the new budget, the summer rec program is gonna cost us only $28,000.
We try to keep it down. to
That's what
that.
I'm just reading that properly.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what has happened in the past is the town has always given the summer rec money to supplement her budget. I've tried, since I've been here, even before, even with my predecessors, is try not to.
Try to like make the
Yeah.
program pay for itself, make
Yes.
it
Yeah.
break even.
And we did that last year. We totally did that last year.
But the reason that the town subsidized it, of course, it subsidized it in a lot larger number than even 28,000.
It was a lot
But the
larger than
idea
that.
behind subsidizing it a bit is that it keeps the cost down for those people that might not be able to
Mhm.
afford it in
Mhm.
Jericho. They do there's some programs that do provide, scholarships and stuff like that, but for people who live in Jericho, and it's only for people who live in Jericho, the costs are lower. The people who come from out of town, pay much more. But even if they pay much more, it's still cheaper than doing Essex Rec.
Great.
Okay, Jessica, do you want to speak on your budget?
So the biggest thing is increasing the assistant town clerk hours. We cut them down to 8 last January. And sometimes Megan isn't available for 8. Like this week, it's just 3. So it isn't working well. And we'll have additional elections the following year. So I think an average of 20 hours a week for an assistant, either including the 8 from Megan, or Megan didn't know if she was increasing hours in the highway or not. You know, she doesn't, she said she'd be the last to know. And I think she's willing to continue with land records, but currently we're 49 days behind in mailing back land records, where ideally we'd like to turn them around in a day. So even 8 hours a week isn't enough with land records. But the additional time would help with elections, vital records, and dog registration. So the key times there are February 15th to April 15th, and then July to November. So like July 1st or after the July 4th holiday of 2026 to, you know, the November election, first week of November of 2026. Because state elections are 45 days long now with early absentee voting. So that's the biggest thing, is increasing. It was at 32, cut down to 8. So I'd like to see it go up to 20. And I'd like additional time this coming February 15th to April 15th, because town meeting early ballots are just 20 days before, and then dog registration should end by April 1.
Jessica, for the election, the November election, isn't that not in this coming budget? Or am I doing my math wrong?
So yes, this coming budget will be August and November, but the state elections, the Secretary of State's office is now, they're paying for the programming of the machines, they're paying for the printing, and they mail the November ballots. The August ballots are by request, so the town does pay for postage. But we added in a line item to show election revenue, because sometimes we don't know if we're going to be holding an election for Chittenden Solid Waste District or Champlain Water District. And that gets, you know, that's an additional expense, but then those agencies turn around and reimburse the town. Same with Mount Mansfield. We had that delayed election 2 Aprils ago. So we had the expense, but then we actually had the revenue to offset it. So I'm not accounting for any outside agency elections, and I'm anticipating that the state will continue to fund the programming and printing of the ballots for August and November. So March is actually our most expensive election, with programming the machines, and it's a legal size ballot now because of the additional articles.
I think
Oh, because 2026 is election year.
Yeah, so I had fast forwarded too many years because this budget stuff drives my head crazy. Because we're talking about 27, but we're talking about, there's an election, a state election in 13 months, is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
But that's
November
not-
2026. So every even year has state elections.
Right. What do you keep saying an August election? There's an August election that year
It's a
too?
primary.
State
Primary.
primary, yeah.
Boy, but there's a lot of turnout for that August.
Yeah, I know.
Probably 8 people in the stage show. All right.
And
Thank you.
the other piece, the other piece is the high school isn't charging for using the facility anymore. They used to charge $300 to use the facility, and they are not charging that now.
So my question, Jessica, is the number that we're looking at right now for salaries in our town clerk is 96,295. What does that reflect?
That just reflects Jessica and the 8 hours with Megan.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I think the state payment actuals got fixed. Brian moved some of the July 11th actuals for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2025.
So to Peter's question, we're seeing an increase from what we budgeted in 26 and what the ask is in 27. And you're saying that does not include the request for 8 more hours?
It does not include the additional 12 hours that she's
It
looking for.
includes 8 hours of
It
Megan.
only includes 8
And
hours.
Jessica,
Right.
Jessica for more time, which is
Mhm.
not in this money.
Okay.
Mhm.
And in FY25, the actual was 100.
Right, because
Yeah, that
Megan
gets a
was
little
working,
confusing. Yeah.
Megan was working more in the clerk's office than,
So,
Well,
Yeah.
actually, the transfer happened in January of 2025, so she didn't finish out.
Right.
That's why this is a big problem.
She didn't finish out the 32 hours for the whole year. It stopped in January, about halfway through.
Okay.
Okay,
what do we need to do tonight?
We just need to talk about it. We need to ask questions like these.
just ask questions and, yeah.
so people understand that it's already started and it's gonna be on the website,
Mhm.
start looking. See what's going on.
Other questions?
One more piece in there is the tax appeals would be starting in July of 2026. But
Right.
when I went to the annual conference for the Vermont clerks and treasurers, there was a clerk that said that they had used NEMRIC for their townwide reappraisal and it went smoothly. A lot of the questions were answered in Lister grievances. They had 200 Lister grievances and only one go on to the Board of Tax Appeals. So that's what I put in there is just one Board of Tax Appeal under BCA. So that falls under election 2. If you were going to add additional appeals, it's about $300 an appeal. So it's any number you want to pull out of the hat, but I'm going with one.
They attribute that to NIMRIC.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
They attribute that lack of need for appeals to NIMRIC.
Yes, they said it went, they were very happy with NEMRIC being available to answer the questions, and NEMRIC participates in the Lister grievances.
Right.
We didn't have that in the 2016 appraisal. The
No, we didn't.
company left prior to
Yeah.
the grievances.
See a lot of people
We
who,
remember, I see a lot of houses.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
a lot of houses is right.
I was one of them.
Me and Jessica climbing through the woods.
Ugh.
All through it all.
Oh geez, that's wild. No, I get to work the nice ones like in Jericho East. And a couple in Sunnyview.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that discussion. Next is approve liquor licenses. Anyone willing to rattle off a motion? Jessica caught me here in person, so I actually personally signed these.
I would make a motion to approve liquor licenses for Griffin Riders LLC on October 3rd, October 4th, October 5th, October 10th, October 11th, October 12th, October 18th, October 24th, and October 25th, all at the Mansfield Bar.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Busy place, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. Not invited to any of them. Fine, fine.
Has to be weddings.
Well, let's do that. I'm gonna take a side, it could be you. Maybe I should come up with this.
Plans about that in advance, the October 24th.
Yeah. All right, select board updates. What do you guys have?
Well, we can start with the new art installation. That's gonna run through the end of the year, and it's called Earth's Bounty. And so there's a lot of different thinking of, what Earth's Bounty is, whether it's diversity of life, food, group, all kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's a bounty of elephants, is what it's titled. And it's nice, all the different baby sizes that they have there. There's a little.
That's like the mushrooms, are those new too?
That is from Andrew, yes, that's for this thing from Andrea Hook, who is a Jericho resident and does pottery. And because we had the shelf, now that was a little tricky because it's just a little bit too long on the shelf. So we have this nice white, heavy duty board, it's not a, put it underneath to give it a little support. And then over there, you can't see it, but on the other shelf is an interactive piece that is both wet and dry felted. And so if you have cats, I mean, this is like the ultimate cat toy that's a piece of art. So we don't, probably won't see that go to somebody who has cats, because you get, fruit that's felted and, nice little balls.
Oh, so it's like the, yeah.
And, but little mushrooms and a little, woven twine nest with little eggs in it that are, it's just really, really charming. That's on that shelf over there, but I need to move the chairs closer to the window so that you can get back in there and see it.
Yeah, I do like this art display. I looked at it a little bit last night.
Because Chris has.
Excited as the camera points over, trying to get in the corner.
Thanks, Aaron.
Aaron's so good. But, yeah, in fact, I didn't leave until after about 5:20, and Chris said, well, aren't you going to stay for the wastewater then? They're coming, yeah, they were coming in at 5:45.
So it was pretty fresh last night. I just got here.
I had just finished it. So that's only the only one. The next one will be our next event is that I have with the jet forces for the next meeting update rather than.
We'll just go around the room. Peter, you got any?
I was on Brown's Trace today and I swung in the town garage and it looks spiffy.
I've not been there. I haven't been to.
I did not stop and ask any questions or bug him. I want to stay out of the way, but just looking to come along great. The water tanks for the fire suppression are there and they're massive, and they got siding up on the outside, and they're starting to rough in the office space from the garage space, and looks awesome. Whatever happened, this is a question, whatever happened with Public Works spec updates? I feel like you've been banging that drum and then.
Tyler and I are working on it along with Jacob. Yep.
Okay. And I had a question that came up from last night at the wastewater task force meeting. So we just started the new budget year, right, in July?
Mhm.
Not just, I guess,
Mhm.
July. So when the previous year ends, we either came up short and we owe money,
Mhm.
or we end up with, oh, look, we have $100,000 that we haven't spent.
Yeah.
If we have $100,000 left not spent, what then happens to that money?
So I wouldn't be the best to answer this question, but if it just is a general budget it just stays in that general budget. It doesn't necessarily, you don't like take it and like, oh, can we put this into something else? It's done, right? As of June 30th, the fiscal year is done, the books are closed, and the audit's coming next week. The auditors will be here to work on that. And they will go through that whole process of pulling everything out. And they will, if there's money from somewhere that needs to be pulled, they'll put it where they believe it should be. So,
But I think his question is a little more high level than that. Let's
Yeah,
say we
well, it's not
let's
like
say we
Brian
budgeted,
said.
let's say we budgeted 4 million and we spent 3.5. What happens to that 500,000?
A lot of that often goes to the unrestricted general
it's just
fund.
gonna stay in the
because
general
that's what
fund.
your rainy
That's
day
what
fund
it
is.
yeah, it just stays in the general fund.
But you've been using a lot of the rainy day fund because
Yeah.
of all the FEMA work.
But if we, let's say we budgeted $200,000 to build a swimming pool.
Mhm.
And the end of the year came and we had problems, we didn't build the swimming pool. Can we just keep that $200,000 in the swimming pool line for the next year?
You could potentially do that.
You could, but you have to wait until the auditors get through, right? They're gonna tell you, okay, yes, you can keep this in for the next fiscal year. They're the ones who are gonna direct the whole budget
Right.
as to what you've spent, what you haven't, and.
Yep.
But most of it does stay in the general fund, if
So
you don't spend it.
Susan thought that the legislature passed a new law. This isn't gonna make sense in the context of the conversation, basically saying that if you don't spend money, you can save it for next year.
So that's,
And I asked ChatGPT that and said, yes, this year, as of this year, you can now do that.
Yeah, she was under the understanding that, okay, we didn't spend that 500,000, that 500,000 immediately goes to next year's budget. It comes off. And
Right,
that's-
but you guys gotta think, like, if your budget is your budget, right? You say you've got $3 million in your budget. If you, for us, you're not gonna see any extra money because we spent over 100 and some odd thousand, actually, I take that back, 300, 400,000, 100,000 in FEMA. So we're gonna be way over this coming. When you see the auditors present that, you're gonna see,
Is that
oh, we went $400,000 over because we had to put that into FEMA.
that's
You're
why you
gonna
have the
see-
rainy day fund.
But I was
Right,
wondering
that's
about
why you get
what
the-
this new law, what Susan was talking about, and if it's somewhere we can leverage it, not this year.
I mean, that's a
but
question
sure.
you can certainly ask Brian, but yeah.
That's all I had.
Laura? All?
I have a few, Raceway Road. I guess while I was gone, they started the project to expose the sidewalk there.
Yeah.
So Jack and I are gonna get together. I have to get together with Jacob because the next phase of that is having Jacob go over, look at it and kind of see what we need to do. So we are working on that.
What does that mean? Like, what does Jacob need to, like, what?
Well, in case there was, what I can remember, with Jack is if there was like part of the pavement that's cracked, cracked or missing, Jacob can fill that in or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of part of our understanding of continuing to accept that grant. And they said.
Right.
But we may need some assistance from. them.
Yeah.
Can you when you talk to Jack, can you ask him when they did that, did they try to discern if the sidewalk went into the bushes or not?
What I had heard from Jack was when they got to the bushes, it looked like it curved and went across the road over to the other side. So,
And I went over there just a couple days ago, because someone told me it was done, like, oh, I didn't know that. And they did a nice job, though, they clearly had a little dozer, they kind of plowed up a nice path
Oh,
up,
wow.
out of the sidewalk, up over the dirt of the bit, like a foot high.
across
A
the-
nice gradual to get
Oh,
up
that's
on the
great.
race, but they did a nice job, so it doesn't look like, I mean, it does just end at the sidewalk.
right,
But they didn't build a nice transition, or not build, but like plow a nice transition to get up on the ground, so they did a nice job. Well, I was wondering if they'd gone in, we kind of went in, we stuck,
Yeah.
trying to find a sidewalk really good, and I was wondering if they'd gone in with a digger to see if it was there or not.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they maybe just said, no, they saw that, they could tell that it was turning onto the road.
right.
Would be nice eventually to connect that all the way
Yes.
through.
Yeah, through,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And
But-
then you're there, yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Gravel Hammerhead, that is all complete, that is done.
That's terrific.
Bridge 15, that is complete. So,
I still have.
Well, we've been a couple times now.
yeah, it's really nice, really nice,
I never go that way.
yeah. The Riverside sidewalk, that is complete. So
That was
that
a
is,
hit at Harvest Market.
oh my
So
gosh,
nice, yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
nice.
You, people were out of the road, they weren't walking
Yeah.
in the road, they were on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it literally meant that people used to avoid that and
Mhm,
didn't really need to avoid it. that way.
Right, right, Dave? As Peter said, the town maintenance facility is still moving forward. They should be completed by November 14th is their date, to finish.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, that's coming up.
Mhm.
And that's on target time wise.
Mhm.
How about money? And we're at
We are-
money-wise?
Doing really,
Yeah, I
we're
have not,
doing well.
I
We're
was
doing-
going to a lot of those meetings and they've moved into weekly and ever since they moved into weekly, I don't make any. So I should
Yeah.
still go
I
every.
make,
But they were doing a really good job. They were staying
Financially.
On
on
budget.
time and on budget. So,
Yeah. Lee River Road sidewalk, Linda and I are working with that, hoping to get that back into motion. We're gonna be reaching out to all of the abutters. We were gonna have the sidewalk on one side of the road, but that didn't work out, so we're having it on where Sunnyview comes out, it's gonna be on that side of the road. So it's gonna
We had to
run
do
down.
an extra environmental study or something like that.
Nope, it's all set. It's gonna stay in the right of way and,
Oh, fantastic.
So if we
Yeah.
walk from here down to Lee River to the left side,
so what we've come across is when this project, it started, I guess, with Todd and.
Oh, God, it's been forever.
Right. They presented a project of coming from Sunnyview, you would cross Sunnyview, go down that road, and you'd stop at Plains Road, you'd cross that Plains Road, then you'd cross over to the island, and then you'd cross over to 15 towards Joe's Snack Bar.
Oh, is it trying to get away from that house has very little?
No, that was, look, we ran right in front of that house. That's why it didn't go anywhere, because they were.
They put up a really big stink. So we've been really trying to get the sidewalk on the other side of the road, which makes more sense.
Yeah.
on the Sunnyview side,
Yes.
okay?
So we actually cut the project and it's gonna stop at the stop sign on Lee River Road.
Oh, really?
Yes, because of the fact that we've talked to the engineers and Cy from CCRPC, who's our project manager, that doing that whole crossing Plains Road, crossing over,
That was-
crossing back was, it didn't seem to
No, we
fit.
weren't going to do that. We thought the initial plan, after the changeover, it was going to run just, all the way.
It's gonna be diagonal. I remember the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I said it's
Yeah.
stupid, nobody would do that.
So, yeah.
Wait,
that's
so we're
exactly-
going up the road here,
Yeah, initially, we also talked about just staying underneath the fair, whatever the house name is,
Yeah,
and stay on the.
so if you're looking at Sunnyview and you follow that stop sign, go to the stop sign.
here's
At-
Sunnyview, go down to the stop sign here. At
Hang on,
Plains Road, go to stop sign right here,
Stop sign at the.
at Plains Road.
Got it. Yep,
And that's where it's gonna stop?
right, so if you see Sunnyview, you're gonna stay on that side of the road and that sidewalk's gonna come all the way down to, where you see the town highway 39, right at the corner intersection of Plains Road. It's gonna stop there,
Right there.
right before that, go
On the other
before
side of
it,
Plains Road.
right, yep, right there,
Oh,
yep.
Because we were gonna stay in front of that
Because
house.
what they did, what the other one would show is you would cross, like Eric said, at a diagonal across that whole strip, go down to Lee River to that intersection, cross to the triangle,
Yeah.
cross over at a corner to the sidewalk. So do you see what I'm saying?
Follow that.
Yeah, so I'll show you. So it's actually gonna come to here now.
Yep.
Right? The sidewalk's gonna come here.
Oh, that's too
And
bad.
then it continued to do a diagonal across here,
Yeah,
go down here, you cross the triangle, and then you cross it over there. What we tried to do was
Run
have
it
the
all down the
sidewalk
side.
continue on,
Right there.
go to the triangle and cut across.
Right, that was the plan. After
Up to
having moved it-
here, and we're gonna see if we can do like a next phase of trying to get a study done to see if we can continue.
what's wrong with, why can't we just do that?
Because whenever they did this, I wasn't involved in it. This was Todd. That's the way they designed it. They designed it.
No, but why can't we do what you just said? Go
Because
straight,
we have to go and do a study, we have to start from scratch. Because they didn't, that's not what they did.
I thought we paid extra for the engineers to do that.
No. We paid. the
There was all this
engineers to do it
discussion
this
about
way.
engaging the engineers to do it.
So we could still do it the way you just said. So you cross, you go up, right?
Yeah, you can still do it, but we have to start from scratch here.
You do it that way, but the current one, you could still do cross, go over, up and over.
That's
Right?
what you.
That's what's designed.
Exactly,
down.
that's
We
the
could-
way it's designed. Yep.
so we could, so right now, if we got the money from CCRPC,
Yeah,
we could do the stupid version right now.
right.
Well, it's
But-
gonna cost more, because we had to go back and redesign the sidewalk for the other side of the road.
Right.
Right,
There was
we've
water-
spent,
there was
we've got
water
a lot
issues.
more money than what our grant first in.
So it makes sense to stop, but then you could put, that, you
Exactly.
could ask, you could have another ask of the, at the,
How far does it go down?
UPWP project.
Go from Sunnyview, right at the corner of Sunnyview, all the way down to the stop sign.
So it just goes to.
From there,
It only goes to Sunnyview.
yep, from there, all the way to the stop sign at the intersection there.
Yeah, because I mean, because the whole point is to get across Route 15 safely from the people that live in that area to cross to Joe safely.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not, I wasn't part of the whole, the design of this in the beginning, and Linda and I are really trying to understand all of this, and we've had so many questions, because we're like, why are you going to the triangle and then crossing at that corner? And they said, you have to do it there because of the sight distance.
That's
We're like-
exactly, the fact is, we tried,
It's
okay,
crazy.
Wade will even talking to the same thing. We wanted to go, try it differently,
Yeah,
but, HOT said, no,
Right.
this is the only way we were gonna
Right.
accept you to cross Route 15.
But
Yeah.
just in terms of options, right now, is there an option to do the double crossing and the diagonal? I'm just gonna call it shorthand the stupid way.
you
Can we
can,
do
but
the
it's
stupid way
going
if we
to
wanted to?
cost more
We still
money.
have- we-
More money.
We do
More
not
money than-
have more, we have a grant, we're already over that grant.
Right, but for the design, we could do it. It would cost
Mhm.
more money for the construction, not for more design.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep,
But it makes sense to do it the straightforward way, the straight on the one side. But the region, it didn't go that way in the first place, because I'm the only one left. Well, of course, Chris was kind of involved, and he was the one who was supposed to get the right of ways when Todd left. That was a difficult.
Mhm.
that was
it's already like, right now, even that it's on the other side, the road, we've worked with the engineers. There's a house, if you back up a little bit, it's called Sweetser is the, right there, see that house, right there? Their fence.
Oh, yeah,
and
they're right
tree
there.
line
Yeah, they're right.
Is on the right of way,
Yeah.
and they're the ones who really,
Right.
that's where the sidewalk was gonna go, is right up to their door.
Because we couldn't do the other side, the engineer said, because of wetlands.
Mhm.
And
But that's
so,
not true now, or?
well, it's,
They're going to stay within that right of way, so we're gonna stay.
Out of the wetland?
I mean, so they had to do a new wetland study.
So it's gonna basically be another temporary sidewalk to nowhere.
Right.
For right now, it's gonna look stupid.
But that's fact.
People say,
Step forward.
people say you're idiots, we're gonna say, no, we're not, we're doing what we can do in chunks, the next chunk will complete the system.
Right, hopefully.
So you can put that as another UPWP project in January.
And that's what Charlie Baker was saying, when it come to you and say, hey,
Yeah,
what can we
right.
help you with, we'll say, with.
Right.
Another.
Yeah, I
another-
don't know, I don't know a good option there.
No,
I mean, I get that,
I apologize, straight across.
straight across. But then you're crossing right there.
No, you have to,
Other
the only,
side.
No, you-
I always
yeah,
only want you to
others.
cross at the triangle. You have to use the triangle.
You go straight across.
Anywhere, crossing anywhere here is insane.
We're gonna need.
I said that
lights or
too.
something.
Yeah, you're gonna need like-
Really
You're
dangerous.
gonna need like a,
But this is easy, sidewalk, we have a sidewalk to here, and then a sidewalk from here to here is totally easy.
doable, yeah.
And then this is a pretty controlled situation right here
Mhm.
to cross.
That's what I think
And then you're
too.
here, and then this is the dangerous part, you put a
Yes.
sticky light, and they can see from both directions, I could go up here, but that doesn't matter, like,
AOT will let you.
do it from here, and then we'll, then do it straight across to there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the safest way according to AOT. Cause
I think you need, I don't
think it's that safe either. I'm with you.
even with the,
Oh,
even with the
it's
blinking
not.
yellow light that's
It's not.
bright. I think.
You have tractor trailer trucks coming down that hill.
Exactly.
I would not stop there at all.
Well,
You need a
that's why it went down to 25 miles an hour.
You need a light by Joe's
Mhm.
that went red when someone
Mhm.
pressed that button, like that's.
Well,
what
there's
it
some
did,
really
and it
fancy
went up
lights
here.
like that that you.
Yeah,
There,
That's a good
there's
idea.
gonna be a lot of money in it.
right, like one on, so you hit the button, and it's just like a city, like the lights actually turn, not just a little,
Right.
Like,
anyway.
The
That's a lot of work, that's good.
last thing that I have is Black Walnut Lane will be coming back to the select board. I think in November.
And do they have their,
Everything's all Tyler,
Looks good.
I've got Tyler's, yep.
and their covenants look right for what we said, okay? They're looking to have us, take over the road.
Take over.
Oh, that's fine, yeah, yeah.
And there's that right of way up through that back property
Oh, yeah.
to Orr Road. Which,
Where's that? Black Walnut?
yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Going-
very steep.
Oh, yeah.
Steep
Okay,
slope, the
okay,
very
yep.
back property.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
Somebody sent me an email.
Send to all of us, yeah.
Someone sent an email to me saying that the people who bought the property, the developer didn't tell them about that right away. And they don't not like the idea of people walking through their yard to get up to Orr Road.
Yeah.
But, sorry.
Right away there.
And
But that's what happened, that was happened with Meadows.
Yes.
So that, I think that would be the time to bring that up to them.
I think if I have a bit of sympathy for them for how many times they've come in and been promised, I think if we were to delay.
No, I don't think
Are they
delay.
stepping
No,
the road?
No, I don't- no, not delay, but just say, hey, just so you know, there's people who come to us who are interested in connecting
Yeah.
more road, and that makes a lot of sense to us in terms of connectivity and walkability.
Yeah.
We just want to let you know that we're
Yeah.
working on that, and it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but.
Select-board updates. The only update I have is we had a good wastewater task force meeting. I'm sorry, did you already talk about it?
No, I didn't.
We had a good wastewater task force meeting last night. A lot of stuff got done between the previous meeting and last night. Mostly with the help of Chris Shaheen and Kate McCarthy.
We'll be hiring her away from the CCRPC.
Yeah, it sounds like she's first step for hire. And we will be getting ready for a budget request to this board from that committee to this board. We're preparing that. And at the next meeting, we will be prepared, we'll be asking this board to approve the next phase of the PER through Du Bois and King.
Which means take out a loan.
Yep.
Right.
we're supposed to have that by the 16th, right?
You will have it, yeah?
Yeah.
So I will actually be the one presenting it to this board.
Because Chris and Kate are both out of town.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're out of town and, no, I think they're out of town. That was the next task force.
No, well, they all said they both.
Oh, they're all-
We can't be there on the 16th.
Oh, they're also-
That's why they were like, you have to do it because we can be there to ask.
Well, they're arming me with a lot of good information,
Yep.
so I feel pretty good
We
about it.
trust you.
But yeah, it's good. All the committees had met between the two task force meetings. A lot of good questions got answered. I had a lot of questions that got answered very well and like much better answers than I would have even guessed. So really good stuff. I can't think of any other updates.
That's great.
Next on the agenda. Minutes. I didn't have any edits.
I
have a couple.
Yeah, I just went the easy way. Line 90, you should identify which John, since there were two
I had
Johns.
that as well, John Willard.
I thought it was John, I put John Willard,
Yeah.
because it was John, because, but you also had John Sayers.
So right at the beginning, John Willard,
Yeah,
I don't have numbers in my phone.
you know,
I have them last week too.
that is
I
weird.
wonder if you're, when you're printing, if
Wonder-
you're zoomed
I
in.
wonder if it's- well, I mean, I know what you're saying, but no, I don't. I can. Is that how you had it, John Willard?
Yeah, I thought that was the biggest name.
The other thing I had, and I can't do numbers, but on page 4, I think, under wastewater update.
Mhm.
Second paragraph begins, Peter said on.
Mhm.
I think we should cross out is and say the community
Okay.
outreach subcommittee, because it wasn't just like a random subcommittee, it was the Peter said on the community outreach subcommittee
Okay,
of the wastewater task force.
that makes sense, it comes from you then, because I didn't know that. Community outreach.
Outreach subcommittee. And the other thing that had a question about on page 1, at the very end of TMRI kickoff. Very end, it says maybe find wording that is less inflammatory.
Yeah, that's what they use.
Did they say that? Did they say less? Cause that seems like she's making a judgment that stating they use inflammatory language. I
Well,
was thinking that maybe find wording or I don't know, just.
So where are you at?
yeah, I think that,
43.
I think that the word inflammatory, because they were
They
trying,
use the word inflammatory for sure, I know that,
Yeah.
but it's just the idea that she. Maybe find wording that is less inflammatory, made it sound like she was saying the petition as it currently written is very inflammatory.
or they're concerned about inflammatory language.
Okay, but I'll let that go.
Well, maybe you could say, find wording, maybe find, gosh, that's a toughie, how to come that,
But if she said inflammatory too, then
Right.
I don't want to
that-
represent
you
it.
can't- Right,
Yeah.
you need to have the word inflammatory in there.
yeah, really does,
Okay, we'll leave that.
yeah, because.
I read the petition, I signed it at Harvard Market and it was not very,
Oh,
well, it's not like,
Oh, I haven't seen it.
it's not like.
I was expecting to see it or hear it at the PMI thing.
I did too,
Yeah, they didn't,
because we had thought that they would be there to get signatures.
they need a lot, they only had, at Harvard Market, they only had like 75.
Oh,
They need like, make 10%, they need like 400.
yeah, they do,
But they could bring up 5%.
they could go 5, as it is in town, no, well, no, it's 10% on that one. Because it's not town business.
Isn't 10%, we will.
Well, yeah,
automatically take it
but
5, so that
it
would
was also
consider it.
meant for, it was also meant for non-town business. Town business is really, because the statutory thing is town business is 5%. And 10% is, yeah, you'll accept it, and it's also for, if that used to be what it was for is, let's arrest George Bush when he comes into town or something like that.
I thought it was 10% and we'll take it,
And
no
then-
questions asked, and 5% and we'll consider it. Regardless of whether it's
Well,
about the Jericho tree or about George.
It could be
Bush.
that, because you can change from select board to select board. If you're not.
Right, it's not, none of it's statutory, it's all just.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Yes. I motion to accept the minutes of September 18th
With,
as amended.
Second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Need a motion to go into executive session.
I personally would love to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel, because premature disclosure of the information will be detrimental for the parties involved. And I would love to invite Paula.
second bit.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.